Hi, this is Analog Girl. In this episode, I'm going to talk about how I shot a film for the 48-hour film project on actual film, 16mm film. In case you don't know about the 48-hour film project, it's a filmmaking contest that takes place in over 100 cities all over the world. You get a team together to write, direct, and edit a short film in the space of 48 hours. And at the launch event, you have to pick the genre out of a hat. And you also have to use an assigned character, prop, and line of dialogue. But you don't get any of that in advance. Before the shoot, I strategized with my friend Chris, who was writing the script, about how we could simplify it to make it more film friendly. So we knew we needed to keep it as short as possible and just shoot in one location, and also keep the dialogue to a minimum because I wouldn't have enough film to do a lot of takes. I was hoping to shoot some expired stock from my stash just to save money, but since I was going to be processing the film myself, I couldn't do color negative, which is what I have a lot of, just because I've never hand processed color before, and that didn't seem like a good idea to start. I did consider black and white reversal because I knew it would look better for the DIY transfer situation, but it's also more time consuming to process because of the bleach and second developer steps. So in the end, I ended up going with black and white negative, and I shot 4 100-foot rolls in total. One roll of expired 72-22 that was in my freezer, and I also purchased some film stock from the Film Photography Project, since they had the cheapest price I could find for black and white negative. This is the 100 ASA, and then they also had a 400 ASA. This is rebranded stock, so I'm not really sure who manufactures it. I did push the 100 by a stop, and I thought, it held up pretty well. For the developer, I used D96 and D96 replenisher, and the reason I did that was because I wanted my development times to be consistent for each roll, and I mixed 2 liters of each of those a few days in advance so I would be ready. The development times are listed on the Film Photography Project website, and for the 72-22 I referred to the massive development chart, and I used the development times that were recommended. So the transfer was the biggest problem. I was not able to send out the negative to get a professional scan because of the time frame of the competition, and scanning with a flatbed scanner would have just taken forever. So I really had no choice but to run my negative through a projector, which is really, really a bad idea. You're gonna scratch your film, but there was no way around it. An off-the-wall transfer was possible, but I knew that with negative it wouldn't look that great, so I tested out a method using my projector and a Laowa snorkel lens, and that was somewhat better. I had to remove the lens from the projector, and I also removed the lamp since I was shooting straight into it, and I used an Amaran LED light with a heavy plastic diffuser in front to blend the individual LED dots so they wouldn't be visible in the transfer. Processing, that's where things got real. So we only had the location until 2 p.m. so we wrapped at a decent hour, and I really did have a reasonable amount of time to process the negative, but I still ended up having to stay up all night. So at that time in July, we were having a heat wave in Philadelphia, which made it harder to get the chemistry to the right temperature, 68 to 72 degrees Fahrenheit. I normally process in my bathroom, but I don't have air conditioning in there, so I ended up keeping the chemicals in my gear room with the AC cranked up as high as it could go, but it was really struggling because it was so hot, and I couldn't get the solutions below 72. They were close. I also had planned on using my Lomo tanks to get as clean of a result as I could hand processing. And I was able to use it for the 72-22, but the rebranded stock is much thinner. It's a different base than the Kodak stock, and I was having a lot of trouble loading the spiral with it. So I switched to doing the jam it in a cam method, and I had spilled some developer during doing the first roll, so I was only able to process 50 feet at a time, which meant 8 separate rounds of processing. So that was a lot. And once it was all processed, I had to splice the rolls together and clean the negative before setting up the transfer. At that time, it was like 6 a.m. and I literally was hallucinating. I couldn't see straight. You can see how I didn't have the negative in the projector frame correctly, so people's heads are cut off. So can you shoot a 48-hour film on film? Yes, you can do it. I did it. It can definitely be done. It was really not easy, and I don't know if I would recommend it. I personally would never do that again. I just really like sleep a lot. But you know, it was fun. It was really great to work with friends, and none of us took it really seriously, which is the perfect attitude to have for a 48-hour film. I've included links to the finished product in the description. It's called Just Desserts. And one is the DIY transfer, which is what I submitted, and the other is an updated version with the professional 4K scan that I got done a few weeks ago. If you have any questions about any of this, feel free to ask them in the comments, and I'll be sure to respond as soon as I can. Thank you so much for watching.